In this video, you will learn 11 plus verbal reasoning type 21, explore the facts. Welcome to another video. If this is your first time here and you want to master 11 plus exam techniques to land in your dream grammar school, start right now by subscribing and clicking on the bell so you don't miss anything. Let's have a look at an explore the facts example. These types of questions, all we have to do is to read the text and then answer the question. So the first thing we're going to do when answering these questions is to read the bottom bit of the information. Why the bottom bit? Well, when you read the bottom bit of the information, you know what you are looking for, so you don't have to spend time with the other unnecessary information. So for example, in this case we have who likes the most sport. So we know that we have to focus on the fact that people like and dislike. So once you have done that, the next thing is to read through the whole text. Brendan, Linda, James, Nick and Macy like different sports. Brendan and Linda like playing hockey, but not basketball. All the boys like playing football. Macy dislikes tennis, but likes sailing. The girls and Brendan like playing netball. James and Nick like tennis. Who likes the most sports? So once you've done this, the next step is really simple. All we have to do is to draw a simple table with all of this information in it to find the answer. So all we're going to do is draw a simple table. And in this table, we're going to write all of the names at the top. And the names are Brendan, Linda, James, Nick, and Macy. So we have to write all 5 of these names on the top. So we have to make space for all 5 of these names. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to write all of the names in the boxes. But the thing to remember when writing the names in the boxes, always write the first letter. Do not write the whole name because this will save you some time. So if you do have a question where both people's names start with the same letter, then go for the first 2 letters. If not, go for the first 3 letters. If you don't, then just write the first letter. For Brendan, we're going to write B. For Linda, we're going to write L. For James, just a J. For Nick, an N, and finally for Macy we're going to write an M. Once we've done that, we're going to list all of the sports that have been mentioned in the text on the side of the table. So all of the sports that have been mentioned are hockey, basketball, football, tennis, sailing, and netball. We have tennis here once again, but we have already listed it right here, so you don't have to do it again. So we have 6 sports: hockey, basketball, football, tennis, sailing, and netball. We have 6 sports and we're going to list all of these 6 sports on the side of the table. Now we have to list all of the sports on the side. So let's start with hockey, and once again, just like we did with the names, just write the first letter. For hockey we're going to write H, for basketball just write a B, football is going to be an F, tennis is going to be a T, sailing is going to be an S, and for netball write a N. And all we have to do now is to read the text once again, and whenever we find someone liking or disliking a sport, depending on which one it is, we either put a tick next to that sport or we're going to put a cross next to that sport. So let's take this one at a time. We know that first Brendan and Linda like playing hockey, so we can put a tick next to both of their names. So let's put a tick next to Brendan next to hockey and Linda next to hockey. Next part of the information says, but not basketball. So Brendan and Linda like playing hockey, but not basketball. So they don't like playing basketball, which means we have to put a cross next to basketball, next to both of their names. We have done that. Let's move to the next line. All the boys like playing football. All of the boys are Brendan, James, and Nick. So put a tick next to all of their names in football. So we have football for Brendan, James, and Nick. Once we've done that, we're going to move to the next line. Macy dislikes tennis, but likes sailing. Macy's right here, so she dislikes tennis, so put a cross next to tennis, but she likes sailing, so put a tick next to sailing. The next line is the girls and Brendan like playing netball. So both the girls and Brendan, they both like netball, so next to Brendan, put a tick when it comes to netball, and also for all of the girls. So all of the girls are Linda and Macy. So next to both of their names, put a tick for netball. The final information is James and Nick like tennis. James and Nick are right here. All we have to do is to put a tick next to their names. So let's put a tick next to their names for tennis. Now we have finished filling the table, and all we have to do is to see how many sports everyone liked. For Brendan, he liked 3 sports, 1, 2, and 3. For Linda, she liked 2 sports. James liked 2 sports. Nick also liked 2 sports. And finally, Macy also liked 2 sports. Brendan is the only one with 3 sports and everyone else has 2 sports. And because of that, our answer to this question will be Brendan. In other words, D. Now, let's have a look at another type of explore the facts example. So in these types of examples, which are a bit different, they ask you if these statements are true, only one of the statements below must be true. Which one? So in these types of questions, they're obviously a bit different. So because these questions are a bit different, we have to answer these questions and approach these questions in a different way. So rather than reading the last bit, instead we're going to read through the whole text first. So Phil, Max, and Kevin go to the same school. Only Kevin leaves school late. Phil is always the first to school. Max is often late for school. So now we have read the text and let's start by answering the question. Let's have a look in A. In A, it says Phil leaves before Max. In the text, it doesn't say anything about Phil leaving before Max because the only place where it mentions about Phil is right here, and it says Phil is always the first to school. And because in this text, it doesn't mention anything about Phil leaving before Max or when does Phil leave, we have to cross out A. Because in these types of questions, you can't assume. So if you have Phil leaves before Max, if it only says that in the text, then A will be true. Because it doesn't say in the text, we can't consider A as true, so we have to cross it off. So let's move to B. And B is Max is always early for school. Is Max always early for school? Well, it doesn't say so. It says Max is often late for school. And over here in B, it says Max is early for school, which is completely the opposite. So because it's the opposite, we have to cross out B as well. Let's move to C. In C, it says all 3 of them arrive on time. Well, that can't be true either because it says Phil is always the first to school. And then it says Max is often late for school. And because of that, cross out C as well. And D is Kevin likes packed lunch. In this text, it says nothing about lunch or anything like that. It only says what time they arrive to school and what time they leave school. Because it doesn't say anything about Kevin liking packed lunch, we have to cross out D. And the final one is Phil arrives before Max. Is that true? Yes, it is. Phil does arrive before Max because it says Phil is always the first to school. Because he's the first to school, he basically arrives before everyone. So that means E is the only one left, and E will be our correct answer. Phil arrives before Max. Now to learn more on verbal reasoning types, click the video on the right, and to learn the previous type, click the video on the left. So take your pick. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. I'll see you next time.